Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me? If you guys can hear me, go ahead and type. I started a little bit early just to get everything set up. If anybody's watching and can go ahead and say they can hear me, that'd be awesome. No one's saying anything, so I'm not sure if anybody can hear me. Yay! Okay, cool. You guys can hear me. Thank you. All right, we'll start in about 4 minutes or so. Okay, so once it gets started, you can go. Oh, here, you guys can watch my kitty Oreo for while we're waiting. All right, it's 2 o'clock. Let's go ahead and start. So this is class number 2 for the Emergency Preparedness Award for Cub Scouts. This class covers the couple of requirements for the Bears and Webelos that we did not get to last week on March 31st. If you did not yet see the video or attend last week, for class 1. You don't have to watch 1 before 2. That's totally fine, as long as you watch both and you do the homework for both classes for your Bears and Webelos. Class 1 covered everything that the Tigers and Wolves needed, and a little bit of what the Bears and Webelos needed. Now we're going to cover everything else for the Bears and Webelos. So hello again. I am Shay Mackin. I am the program ranger out at Camp Tom Wooten for Capillary Council, as well as the camp director during summer. So if any of you come out to family campcation this summer at Camp Tom Wooten, then you'll see me and all my amazing staff, and we'll have a good time this summer. So let's see. After class, I will make sure and post what we did during class and what you guys have for homework from this class as well. And I am going to go ahead and add the YouTube channel that this will be posted on in 3 weeks, so that if you aren't able to watch live, or some of your den friends can't watch live and you want to let them know about this really fun class that they can do while they're still at home and earn some fun stuff. Okay, so we're going to start. Last week we had our super cape. I'm going to put on my super cape again this week. Here we go. Because when we help other people in times of emergency and help our family, we are like a hero for our family and our friends. So one of our things that we needed to learn about is to shut off utilities. So utilities are the things that come into our house to help us have energy, like our electricity, our gas, if we have gas like stoves or a gas fireplace or a gas dryer, and then as well as water. So we're going to learn how to turn those off and then why we might need to turn those off, okay? So to turn off, okay, hold on, before I keep going, make sure that you do not turn these things off without it being an emergency. Even when you go later today to go see where they are in your house, you're not going to turn them off today, okay? So today I'm just going to show you how in case of an emergency. So you would have something like this. It looks like a breaker box, okay? It is a breaker box. I've had a couple different houses, and one of mine was in my master bedroom closet. The one in my house now is in my garage. My grandma's and her house that was built, like 80 years ago, is on the outside of the house. And then if you're in an apartment, I'm not sure, some of them are in bedrooms just for your apartment. So your parents should know where their breaker box is. If you're in an apartment, you may not have a breaker box, and that's okay too. Then if there's an emergency, you go and leave the building for the reasons we're going to talk about. But at the breaker box, they should be labeled. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they labeled them a long time ago and like the stickers or the writing came off. So you and your family should get together and rewrite where things are. Each of these are little flippy switches that go like this, usually left to right and say on or off. And so some of them are like living room, bathroom, kitchen, but usually up here is where your main switch is, and that turns off your whole house, okay? So, and we'll talk about why you might need to turn that off. So this is called a breaker, okay? And that's your main breaker switch. At Camp Tom Wooten at camp, I have them labeled. So if there's an emergency at camp, I know where they are and we can turn them off, okay? Another thing is your gas shutoff. Now, not every house has gas, okay? One of my houses that I had before did not have gas. There goes our little wolf. So if you don't have gas, that's okay. But if you do, outside of your house somewhere, okay, and these are outside, you're going to have a thing that looks like this with like a little meter. Here we go. It's going to have changing numbers. This is where the company reads to see how much gas you're using, to know how much to bill mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or your guardians, to know how much to charge you for your bill. And so here you would take a tool. Do you guys see this? And you're going to turn. So it's facing, there's this little lever that turns on the up and down part of the tube. Do you guys see that? Right now, it's sideways, okay? And if you need to turn it off, you turn it the opposite way. So this one would be going up and down to turn it off. Does that make sense? Okay? So this is your gas shut valve. And we'll come back to this when we talk about why we need to. Our next one we're going to talk about is water shutoff. Now, for my house and a lot of houses, you're going to have down by the street a little, like a green or a gray or a black little plastic box, okay? This is when I take my lid off, it looks like inside, okay? So normally you don't see it, ideally, okay? And there's like a pipe that comes from the city and then to your house, okay? And inside here, there's the water meter. That's how they know how much water you're using. This one we do not touch. That is only for the water company to do. This one over here, which is a bigger switch or turner, that's for us to turn off, okay? And then you would turn it if it's going this way, side to side, then you're going to turn it so it goes up and down. That would turn the water in your house. So again, here's like a drawing of it, okay? So this bigger one is the one you guys would do. It has a bigger handle, and that is the one that you turn off, okay? If you have to turn off your gas or your water, ideally, especially your gas, if it has to be turned off, you're going to call the gas company, and they're going to come turn it back on when it's safe. Okay? So we'll look back at those in a minute. Now, when would we need to turn off your gas? So again, that is this one, okay, your gas, and that goes to your stove or your water heater or your dryer. So maybe there's a gas leak, okay? A gas leak sometimes happens, and I've had one, and you smell a weird smell, okay? Oh, my cat's name is Oreo. Somebody just asked. That cat is Oreo. See, he's white, and if I turn that way, see, he's white and black. Isn't he cute? He's taking a nap. So there's a smell, kind of smells like rotten eggs. It's really stinky. So if you smell that, go get a mom and dad or grandma, grandpa, or your guardian or your babysitter and let them know you smell something really weird, okay? And then you would go and you turn off, before you turn off your gas, ideally you need to go and turn off your electric switch first, because the electric stuff in your house, like your light bulbs or your switches, can actually make a spark sometimes if there's an issue. And that could, if there's a gas leak, then it could light that gas on fire, okay? So if there's a gas leak, then you need to turn off the electricity and then turn off your gas. And then make sure, and with your parents, okay, and your bigger people, and then get out of the house, all right? Let's see. So maybe what started the gas leak is like an earthquake, because if the ground shakes, right, so all your pipes are underneath the ground. So here's my pipe underneath the ground, and here's the ground, right, the top that you see. If this ground is moving from an earthquake, this pipe might break, okay? So that means that the gas, either inside your house or right outside your house, could be leaking. And that's where that leak is coming from, possibly. Sometimes a tornado, because the gas pipes are coming up, and here's your house, right? And the tornado maybe pushed the house and it broke your pipes, okay? So sometimes the news or the radio may even say, go turn off your electricity and your gas to your house, and then the city will come and turn it back on, okay? So always listen, if there's an emergency, to the news, like on the radio or the TV. One of the biggest things that happen after natural disasters, like floods or earthquakes or tornadoes, is fires in the house. And those come from electrical surges and then also gas leaks. And so if we can stop the electricity and stop the gas from coming in our house, then we won't have that issue, right? And then we won't have, it couldn't catch things on fire in our house. Okay, so now for water, I've had to turn the water off on my house a couple times. I had my water heater broke, and it was like flooding my garage full of water, and it would not stop. Even I turned the water heater intake off, and it was still flooding my house. And so I had to go outside, like this picture, and go turn off not the corporate one, right, but my personal one, and turn that off. And when the plumber came and he fixed my water heater, then he had permission to turn it back on, and he knew when an appropriate time to turn that back on was. So, but if there was a natural disaster, again, like an earthquake or tornado, sometimes flood, because it can move things, right? The pipes under the ground maybe got moved and burst. Or not even by your house they burst. They burst somewhere far away, but some dirty water might be coming into your house. And so the radio or TV sometimes says, turn off your water so that you're not getting dirty water, okay? So again, we're going to go over it one more time. Here's your water one. This is, you're going to go to the street usually and turn off, and they're usually marked individual use or the home. And the big one is usually for the home, and the small one is usually only for the utility company, right? And then to turn off your electricity, you're going to find your main valve or the main switch. That's one of your homework things, is to go and find these things with mom and dad so that you guys know where they are. Because you know what? Maybe you're in somewhere new, or maybe mom and dad didn't even think of looking to see where these were, okay? And you don't want to wait to try and find them when there's an emergency. So you're going to find the main switch and that'll turn everything off in your house. I'm not going to go try it today because then I won't have my computer working to have our class. And my internet will go off and all that fun stuff. And then your gas shut off is usually on the outside of your house, and you're going to turn it the opposite way, okay? And this, I promise you will need a tool. Usually the water, you'll need a tool to do too. All right. So some of our natural disasters that we have are floods. We get floods here in Central Texas a lot. And if you're in other parts of the country, you also might get floods because you can get floods from just a lot of rain or a dam or a levee breaking. And so now you guys can be getting prepared for a flood just in case it ever happens. It's not something really that happens very often, but just in case. So one thing that you can do with your parents for insurance purposes is to sit down and kind of make a list of important things and valuables you have in your house, and to have an emergency plan like we talked about last week, where you're going to go, how you're going to escape, what's your route to get out of your house, right? And to have an emergency kit, which we're going to talk about today. And then for parents who are watching, don't forget an insurance policy and contact information on hand that you can grab in case you're evacuating or find yourself in that situation. So during a flood, guys, avoid walking or driving through floodwaters, right? Turn around, don't drown. That also means your body, not just your car. So if you see water over a road, you actually don't know how deep it is, because maybe the road used to be here, but the water, and so you're used to, oh, it's only like a few inches and I can walk across. But maybe the water's up here and you don't know that the water washed the ground away and it's a lot deeper. So if you go to walk because you think that the ground's up here, it's actually way down here and you might get washed away. Okay, so do not walk through any body of water. All right, and don't let mom and dad drive through. Right, no matter, even if it looks just like a little bit of water. Turn off your gas and electricity at the main switches to avoid a fire. Okay, so we just talked about how to do that. So if there's a big flood, go ahead and turn those off. And remain in the upper portion of your house or find higher ground. So if you don't have a 2-story house or you're not on the 2nd story of like your apartment, then you need to go and find somewhere that does, right? So that you can get up higher. So find higher ground. And then after, you're going to not, if you were told to evacuate or you had to evacuate because of a flood, do not go back to your house until the authorities on the news tell you, okay, and to the police, okay, that you're okay, your area is okay to go back in. So during 2 different hurricanes in Houston, I know some people who had to go upstairs on their house, and then I know some other people who did not have a 2-story house, and so they had to leave and they couldn't come back until the authorities said that their area was safe to go back, okay? Sometimes the radio and TV will also tell you to boil your water because the pipes somewhere probably got broken or flooded weird and some yucky stuff got in the water, okay? And so listen to the news and they're going to tell you whether or not you need to boil the water. The boiling the water, and they'll tell you for how long, is going to kill bacteria and yucky viruses and yucky stuff in the water that you don't want to drink, okay? And if you see any downed power lines, so usually during a flood, that means there was a storm maybe, so lots of wind, and so those power lines that are going across the sky might have come down. Even if you don't see sparks, you stay away from downed power lines and just call the police and let them know that there's a downed power line in your area, okay? And then take pictures of any damage in your house so that then the authorities and the insurance companies can know what happened in your house, okay? Another thing is something that happens sometimes in Central Texas is tornadoes, okay? So before your tornado or a tornado might happen, make sure everybody knows the safe emergency plan, where you're going to go, right? Where in your house is the evacuation or the stay safe room. Same thing at school. I was at school when a tornado warning came through, and we were in a class where the one whole wall was all windows. Well, you don't want to be by windows during a tornado, right? So you go into another classroom we went into another classroom that had no windows, and we hung out with those kids until we were safe to come out. And then multiple ways of having warnings. Remember, we talked about maybe on your phone having weather apps, the TV, and then having weather radios, things like that, okay? And then having a communication plan in case there's an emergency, who you're going to text or call, so that you can let them know that you are safe. And then during the tornado, remember, go into an inner part of your house, and everybody's going to be there together. Hopefully you have your emergency kit in there, which we'll talk about. And that's going to be in an interior room away from windows. And then after, let your family know that you're okay, right? Be aware again of downed power lines, broken gas lines, sharp debris. Avoid damaged areas. It's not something you want to do is go climb around in downed houses and buildings, things like that. And you need to stay off the roads, because the roads are going to be needing to be open for our emergency vehicles to get to people, right, and to help people. And then an earthquake doesn't usually happen in Central Texas, but I figured I'd talk about it. Some earthquakes have been happening in some states that doesn't normally happen. So if an earthquake happens, what you want to do is drop, cover, and hold on. So I'm going to show you guys this little picture. Boop. Do you guys see? So drop, try and get underneath like a table. There's not a table, maybe or where a door jamb, where the door opens and closes. Cover up and then hold on. Okay. So earthquakes don't happen too much for us, but maybe you're visiting California or other areas where earthquakes happen, and you never know when an earthquake's going to happen. So you want to cover up. Hopefully that table is sturdy and will hold up. And then, like, if this is the table and you're hiding underneath it, right, and stuff falls on the table, it didn't fall on you because it fell on the table, and then you have like a safe place to be. Okay. All right. Let's see, water, earthquakes, tornadoes. We talked all about that. Remember to listen to the radio or the TV, and they are going to tell you what to do, all right? And sometimes there's fire, so that's why I showed you how to turn off the utilities, all right? All right, our next requirement we need to do, if you have done Webelos Aquanaut, then you know all of. Do you guys see my other kitty cat? That's Beezy joining Oreo. So if you've done Aquanaut, you guys have learned about reach, throw, and row. And bears, maybe not so much yet. So we're going to go over that. And I don't have a pool, and I am not going to take my laptop down to the creek, so I have pictures of reach, throw, and row. So if you are by a creek or a lake or a river or at the pool and somebody's having a hard time, and this has happened to me when I was a youth. I was at a church camp one summer, and some like seaweedy kind of stuff in the lake on the bottom touched my leg, and I completely freaked out and like forgot how to swim and was not doing well. And so the lifeguard did the following things to help me. First, they did, let's see, reach. You guys see it? So what the boy on the land is doing is found a pool noodle or a stick or something, a rope, something where you can reach farther out. Notice he is laying down on the ground. If he were to stand up and his friend who was in the water was drowning and having a hard time, they would pull that stick as hard as they can, and you might fall in too. So that's why he's, number one, laying on the ground. The other thing he's doing is holding on to something as well to kind of anchor him to the ground. So the first thing is reach. Find something to reach your friend. That's the first thing you do. You don't go in after them. First thing you do is reach. The second thing you're going to do, if reaching to, like, I don't have something far enough to get to him, I don't have a stick that's far enough, okay? Whoop, is throw. A rope is best, and you can pull so that then you can pull the person in. Otherwise, throw something that floats like a ball or a bottle or a life buoy. This will keep the person afloat until help comes, right? It'll give them something to hold onto. So reach, throw, whether it's a rope and then you're going to use that, they're going to grab the rope and then you're going to pull them in, or you're just throwing something floaty so that they can hold on to the floaty thing. So the first thing you did was reach, and if that didn't work, then you're going to throw. And then the third thing, if you're still, he's really far or she's really far away, is row, okay? And this is if you have that. Otherwise, you're calling 911 to get help, right? So row, use a boat if there's one nearby, and if you can use it safely, right? That doesn't mean an unsafe boat, or if you don't know how to use a boat, then don't, okay? Do not try to pull the person on board because you might tip the whole boat. So ideally, you're handing them the paddle and they can hold on to that while you try and get to the shore. Does that make sense, guys? So the first thing you're going to do to help somebody in need in the water is reach, throw, and then the last resort, row. And always calling 911 to go and get some help, right? You can always say, hey, do you have a phone? Call 911. Good job. All right, so our emergency kit. So one of the things that you guys need to do for homework is make an emergency kit for your family. So I started making emergency kits a long time ago, before any of you were born. And when I went to do this class, I went to pull out our emergency kit out of our master bedroom closet, and I keep it in there because that's our tornado shelter where we go. You know what I realized? I hadn't gone through it in a while. So it's something that you want to create and then go through about once a year to make sure that the food's still good. Any of the things that you put in there are still good. So here's mine. I found a yellow backpack so that I could find it in my closet very easily. Okay, and each of our family has one, or you can just have one for the whole family, whatever works for your family. Okay, one of the things that you want to do is, I have this laminated card. I'll just show you real quick. I darkened out some of the things. The information on there's old, but on my laminated card, what I put was who we were. So I put Mackin family because that's my name, Shay Mackin. And I put my husband's name and my name, and then each of my kids' names on there with their birthdates. I also put our cell phone numbers on there and our address. And then I put both our my husband's parents and my parents' information on there, and our church information, just so that then they could contact our church. So this was if they found us hurt maybe somewhere, or sometimes in a panic you can't remember phone numbers, things like that. And so I had it all written down. I laminated it in case it was raining or got wet and stuck it in the pack. And then you need to renew that and make sure that information's up to date. Because like this one I just looked at, it only has 2 of my kids' info on there, and I have 4 kids now, so I haven't renewed this in a little while. Okay, so in your pack, what ready.gov recommends. Okay, here's your ready.gov, and I'll make sure that is posted on the website again. That's where I got lots and lots of information from FEMA and ready.gov for what should be in your 3-day pack. So they're saying that you need to have water. So I had these little water pouches that I found a few years ago, and then other water. Sometimes you might have big water bottles or small water bottles. Also some gallon water bottles that they're saying that you need a gallon of water per person per day. So that's a lot of water in an emergency. Some of the other things you could do is ways that you like to sterilize water, things like that. But at least have a little bit of water so that you have some water to drink with. And then also food. Now, they're saying canned food. So when you're looking at canned food, I've got like some little Vienna sausages. I'm trying to find things with good protein and vitamins and things like that to help fill us if we have to take our pack with us and evacuate. That's a lot of times when you're going to use that pack, or if during a tornado everything kind of around you fell apart and then you have your pack that you can take with you. I have had to evacuate my house one time. I lived in Southern California and a wildfire was coming and we had to evacuate, and so we grabbed all of our packs and and sat in our car, actually, because the police were evacuating one street at a time. And when they came to our street, the firemen had done a good job and put out the fire, and then we didn't have to actually evacuate. So we evacuated to our car and sat there, but we had food and water and important things in case we needed to. So this can, notice, this has that pop top, right, that you can just pull up. But this can doesn't. So pay attention to what kind of cans you're putting in your pack. And you might need things like a can opener, right? The other thing is cans are really heavy. So if you're trying to carry around 3 days worth of food, cans are really, really heavy. There's other things in like foily packets that is already pre-cooked. And this is a lot lighter than a can, okay? Other things that I've got that I pulled out of my bag was some Chef Boyardee. Also, like some fruit. So we had some fruit. So this is dried fruit, because if I put an apple in my backpack and have it sit there for a year, it's not going to be good. But if I have a dehydrated little fruit leather apple, then I can eat an apple later. Other things like protein bars or like meat sticks, things like that. Okay, so you've got your water and your food. The next thing you need in your emergency pack, okay, is a radio. So I've got 2 different kinds of radios. This radio needs batteries. One thing about everything that needs batteries in your emergency pack is that you don't want to keep the batteries inside the radio, because then they'll corrode and go yucky inside the battery. So I have batteries that I know will fit inside my radio, and I keep them separate from the radio. And then in an emergency, I'll put them in, okay? So that's a battery-operated radio. This one I found is a crank radio. So it has a place for batteries, but it also, I can crank it, and it has like a flashlight and a compass and a clock and a radio, and I can crank it and crank it and crank it, and it will give me power to then power the radio in case of an emergency, so I can hear what's going on from the news people, okay? The next thing you're going to need is a flashlight. Here's my flashlight, okay? And then we have these in each of the backpacks, and I put the batteries in just for today for our class, because of course you want to keep the batteries outside of it so that then they're still good when it's time for your emergency. So a flashlight. So far we've got water, food, a radio, a flashlight. Next is a first aid kit. So you can make, just get things that you need for your first aid kit, like alcohol swabs or Band-Aids, things like that. And you can put them in a Ziploc bag, or you can have a pre-purchased first aid kit, just something in case there's an ouchie and you need to help somebody, okay? Your next thing is a whistle, and I didn't bring it over to my table, but why would you need a whistle? Let's see if anybody can tell me why you might need a whistle in an emergency with your emergency pack. Let's see if anybody's going to post. Just like on a hike for your 6 essentials, you need a whistle to let people know where you are, right? So if people, yep, it's the stuff that you usually have for camp as well. Good job. So in case like rescue workers or something is looking for you, then you'll have your whistle to whistle and let people know where you are. Another thing that I've always kept in our thing is a dust mask. Now, right now, a lot of us are wearing masks to stay safe from the virus when we're outside, right? And then at other times when it's not a virus, that's the emergency, but like a tornado or a fire, debris and smoke and dirt and yucky stuff can be in the air. And so a mask, not a gas mask, but a dust mask is a good idea to keep. I actually keep it in a Ziploc bag to keep it clean, so that then in case I need it, it's clean and I can put it on, and then it will be easier for me to breathe. Another good idea is some moist towelette or baby wipes. I've got like a little travel thing that you can get in like the travel section or in the baby section, and you might need that just to help clean off. Because if you get a lot of soot or smoke on you and it's all over your face, or if you need to go to the bathroom or just wipe off in general, then baby wipes are good. The other good thing to have is some toilet paper, okay? I have a little, like a small thing like this of camping toilet paper that I found in the camping section. Another thing you can do is just take a roll of toilet paper, and I didn't grab one, but you can take the cardboard tube out of the middle and it'll smush down more. So you can take like a half a roll of toilet paper, take the cardboard tube out, put it in a Ziploc bag, and then put that in your emergency kit, and then you'll have some toilet paper. As I promise, in those 3 days when maybe you have to evacuate somewhere, you might need to go to the bathroom, so you might want that toilet paper, right? All right, and then you might need a tool in your backpack or your emergency kit to turn off your utilities. If you're going to be leaving your house, evacuating your house, if you had a tornado or earthquake or flood, something like that, you want to turn off the electricity, the gas, and the water to your house. So you might need a wrench or another tool to help you turn those knobs, okay? The other thing that would be a good idea is a map of the local area so that you know where to go, okay? Because sometimes we forget which way to go. The other thing that's a good idea is a phone charger. This is one of my phone chargers, so I can charge my phone. They have, I even saw at like some of our cheaper stores, pre-charged one-time use chargers. So you just keep it like that in your bag, and then it's ready to go and charge your phone in case you need to be able to call people and let them know where you are, okay? Some other good ideas are a rain poncho, okay? Why might we need that? Because it might be raining, you don't know, right? Especially if it was flooding, maybe it's still raining, to keep you dry. If you get wet, you're more likely to get sick or hypothermia, and then you have other issues. And so keeping dry is really important. The other thing you could do if you had to is lay it down, and you could lay on it and have it also cover you, like an emergency blanket, which I have here. So this emergency blanket is just one I found in the camping section, like at Walmart or Target or other places like that. And it's like aluminum foil. So if you've ever cooked anything at a camp out and you wrapped it in aluminum foil, what it did is it kept the heat around it. So that's just like this. You put this around you and it acts like a blanket, and it keeps the heat on you. So if the blanket's right here, that heat the body produces, instead of bouncing off you and going away, it bounces off the emergency blanket that's like foil and bounces back at you, and it keeps you nice and warm. It's not super comfortable because it's like aluminum foil. It's metal, but it'll keep you warm and safe and dry, okay? Other things that you might need to keep in mind, is there anybody in your house that needs prescription medicine on a regular basis? Like if they're diabetic, or one of my sons is highly allergic to fire ants, so he has to have Benadryl and an EpiPen. And so we make sure that we have those in our emergency kit, okay? The other thing, if you have little people in your house, you might need diapers, right, for your baby brother or sister. And then another thing that I put in, a couple other things, is waterproof matches, just in case. And then also I put some games in, like Uno or card games. I know actually too many people who've had to evacuate from different parts of the country from their houses, and sometimes they can go to another friend's house, and sometimes they're in like the gym of a school for a long time. And so the things they end up using in their backpack to help their family, and then you kind of start to get a little bit bored sitting in there for lots of days, and so having a card game is really helpful. Okay? All right, so now Webelos. Okay, I'm talking to you. So one of the things that the Webelos are supposed to do is take a first aid course. Well, guess what, Webelos? One of the required activity or adventure pens is the Webelos Ready Man. It looks like this, like a green cross. Okay, so if you have completed this, which is a requirement for Webelo, then you've already done the required first aid course. Okay, it covers all of the things that you need to do. So if you haven't done it, Webelos, then that's one of the requirements you need to do is to do your readyman before you can finish your emergency preparedness pen. Okay? I'm checking. I think that we've covered everything. All right, homework. You guys ready for homework? Is that your favorite word ever? But this is fun homework. It's something different. Oh, sunblock. I didn't say sunblock and bugs, right? Those are other good things to keep, maybe like a trial size, right? Good. Sorry, I was reading a couple comments. What if you live too far away from a phone tower? So maybe knowing where the closest phone tower is so that you can start walking that way, or having a radio, other way to communicate, right? Good job. All right, so your homework. If you did not watch the first video, okay, the first video was on this same Tech Lab Austin STEAM Camp website, and it was on March 31st. Then you need to go in and watch that and then do the homework from that class too, okay? Because the Bears and we have a few extra things you need to do. And then do the homework from that March 31st. If you already watched it but you haven't done the homework, then you still have the homework to do. So moms and dads, both videos, and then the homework from both videos, okay? And the other thing you need to do, both Bears and Webelos, is do a presentation to your family, okay, about what you learned in either of the classes, just something that you learned, whether it's maybe you, with mom and dad, you put together your emergency kit, and then you sit down and you go over your emergency kit and your emergency plan with your younger brothers and sisters, things like that, okay? In the requirements, it says some of them that you have to do with your den. Well, guess what? Right now, your family is your den. So you're going to do your presentation to your family, okay? And then that is it. Let me check and see if there's any more questions. I'm going to post what we did today. Oh, some new clothes. New clothes is a good idea. You can handle, wearing the same clothes for a couple days. One of the mistakes I did was thinking, oh, well, we need, this many clothes. We only really need maybe one change of clothes, maybe one pair of jeans, because jeans are better if there's an emergency to get through, like brush or walk not on a street, right? But jeans are also really heavy to carry. So a change of clothes is always a good idea. Now, a change of clothes, you can do a change of clothes for 3 days, but really what I would do is just do one major change of clothes. If you're going to do clothes in your pack, handle being in the same clothes for a couple days. Let me see if there's any more fun questions. If there's wild animals, so if there's wild animals outside, then you're going to try and maybe go to a neighbor's house and get inside. A good pair of shoes, good, yes. So you're not wanting to evacuate. We had some hiking shoes tied to our backpack, and in case we had to evacuate and then walk a really far way or walk over rubble or things like that. Because if I'm going to be usually at my front door, I only have flip-flops. And so that's not what I want to grab when there's an emergency to evacuate. You want some good shoes with you, okay? So what you're going to do is go to ready.gov, okay? And you're going to be able to find, or even just Google emergency family kit. But this is the main page where you're going to find some really good ideas. You can add whatever you think that your family is going to need, but you're going to need really a lot of the basics. Think about when hurricanes hit other areas, and it takes a long time sometimes for emergency workers to get to you, especially if it's a large area that was hit. So having these kinds of things and being prepared. And if you're prepared, then you're less scared, right? Because you know what to do. You know how to turn off the utilities. You know where to go and what to do if there's an emergency. And you have your family emergency kit and are ready to go. Along with last week's things like first aid and other things, you know what to do in case there's an emergency. Okay? So that's all about Scouting's motto is to be prepared. And that's one of the really cool things about Scouts is that we're teaching you guys how to be prepared so that you're not scared and you guys can be that hero to your family. So, oh, that's another really good idea. So we could also put pictures of people who know who we are, so it's like this person knows who I am, maybe mom and dad, a family picture, or pictures of friends, things like that put in there. Again, names and numbers of emergency numbers, things like that. So I'm going to post right after I get off in the discussion what we did today and what you guys have for homework. And again, when you're done, the way you do it, or the way you earn this pin, is doing your homework, watching the videos, right? And you tell mom and dad will know when you've done all of your things, right? And then they will tell your pack leaders, we did the emergency preparedness activity or award, and we earned the pin. And it looks like this. It's not so big. It's really little, right? And then once the Scout Shop opens back up, then they'll be able to, the pack will go and purchase that for you and award it to you at your pack meeting. If you guys want to post pictures of your emergency kits on here, that'd be awesome for me to see. And watch this website and our other council websites, and Capillary Council, Cub Scout Activities, and Capillary Council, and Tech Lab, Austin Steam Camp, and Waterloo Council, where we have lots of really great activities to do right now while you guys are home. I'm preparing another fun one next week, and I'll be announcing that on the Facebook pages, so keep an eye out. I hope you guys had fun today. Share your pictures of your emergency kits. All right, have a good one, guys. Stay safe. Bye.